Right, so I'm Owen Ryan. Most of you probably know me as that guy who won't keep his trap shut. Anyway, my presentation is on organic moments in games. The title is a work in progress, and I'll get to that, why that is, later. So, why is this? Anyway, so my paper will be split into two parts. You've got one where we try to define what's organic, because there's no real good definition of what an organic moment in a game is, and it's very vague. And the second part is kind of analysing individual moments that people have had with respect to mechanics, dynamics, aesthetics, and borrowed taxonomy players, and all sorts of stuff like that. Try and figure out why these organic moments are so engaging for people. So, what is an organic moment? Well, let's start with the organic part. It's really hard to define it. My current working definition is something or something that happens in a game that wasn't there by design. I know that's a really bad, really finicky definition. Please, give me any better suggestions you have for that. One of the goals of this essay is to pen a better definition than that. So, from my understanding, kind of chief among what makes something organic in a game is if it wasn't there by design, if it wasn't scripted. So it's something that wasn't set up by the developer, like say a plane crashing in a Call of Duty campaign. That was generally something that will happen to everyone. But the problem with this is who's to say what's designed and what isn't. So case study for me personally was with the game Shadow of Mordor in Nemesis system. These images are really hard to see, but basically in Shadow of Mordor you were essentially playing an assassin going around Mordor killing orc captains. They've all got strengths and weaknesses and blah blah blah. And so you're just going around killing people. But what I had happen was there was this particularly ugly orc with a fabulous hat who I saw he was getting kind of powerful, so I went after him and I beat him in a sword fight. It was kind of a tough fight. Killed him, and I was like, right, that's the end of that. But then I was wandering around the open world, and I spotted him again, and he'd lost his hat, and he had a big scar, but I was like, he's not dead. I left him for dead, and he was dead. So, of course, I immediately go and try to kill him a second time. The swords clash, and he spouts a line about, you left me for dead last time. Again, I kill him, and I'm like, he better not come back again. So then, once again, later, I'm in a side mission, I go off to a quiet area, and I see a blip on the map, and it's coming towards me. And I look up, and out of fog, this huge figure just bursts out of the fog. Its face is covered in the hideous burn scars from the last time I fought this guy. Swords clash, it's like, and he spouts a line saying, this is the last time we meet. Even I'm sick of this now. Big sword fight, and eventually I'll lop his head off. I'm like, this was a really cool moment. But here's the thing. Was it designed? No, actually, because orc captains not staying dead is a mechanic put in the game. There's a chance that any orc captain who's powerful enough could not be killed when you actually killed him. He might come back with a face mask or something. Voiceovers of the captains remembering you, leaving them for dead. That was put there by the developer. Him coming after me for revenge in that final fight. That was an event, not necessarily specific to this captain, but that is a kind of event that the developers put in there to create these moments. So if all these systems were there, does that really make it truly organic? And that's the big question I'm trying to answer with this paper. Because it was unique to me. Nobody else has had the big Firebrander saga. People have had similar experiences, undoubtedly, but not necessarily identical. So it is a big question. So the second part of the paper is how do these engage us? It's that story, that was a huge moment for me. I really loved it, really memorable, but why did I really love it? So I'm going to try and answer that question in the rest of my paper by looking at stuff like mechanics, dynamics, aesthetics of play, kind of the reasons people play games, kind of look at stuff like Bartle's taxonomy of player types and anything else I can find or people can suggest to me. So MBA, you probably all remember this from an earlier lecture, but it's basically just a kind of, it was an academic paper giving up a number of reasons why people play games. You've got people who play games for the sensational pleasure, like sights, sounds, etc. You've got people who are playing it for fantasy, game as make-believe, people for the story. I think that particular thing with the Firebrander for me probably falls under that. You've got challenge, people love a challenge. Fellowship, it's like teamwork, etc. Discovery, it's like finding new stuff. Expression, and I do hate this word, I would replace it with abnegation, because it's not, it's just, that's killing time, this one. One particular game designer I really respect called James Portnow, he talked about MBA and he decided to add a 9th one in here called competition. Self-explanatory, it's a really big reason why a lot of people play games. So I try to look at these and apply them to any cases of organic moments that have happened in games to try and figure out why were they so engaging. Just to explain what Bartle's taxonomy of player types is, it's basically getting players and then kind of subdividing them into these 4 kind of groups, these types. You've got people who love to explore the world, they'd be explorers. People who love interacting with other players, your socializers. Killers, who love basically killing players and just ruining people's day. And the achievers, who are not there for the world, they're just there to do stuff, and they're there for the challenge and the feeling of success. I will note that Bartle's taxonomy was done in relation to MMOs and MMO players. Specifically, it was actually mods, really like old-fashioned LAN text-based MMOs, but it still holds true today, so this may or may not be applicable. We're going to see. And so the most important part about this thing is I need your guys' input. So I need, first of all, I'd like a better title if you've got any suggestions. I'd like better definitions, better language for this, because just like with talking about why do we play games, language is really not there at the moment. So if you've got any suggestions, I'm open to them. And most importantly, if there's any moments that you're willing to share, like any really standout moments that just kind of happened in games, please don't hesitate to share them with me. There's my email if you want to email them. Are there any questions?
The biggest challenge as I see it is it being able to identify those that were not there by design or scripted.
Yeah, that is the kind of one big point of this.
Glitches? Do they
That's another point, is glitches. It's debatable whether or not you could consider a glitch an organic moment versus just a glitch that happened.
Does that include Easter eggs and secret rooms that are put there that aren't known as part of the game and stuff? Things that are unexpected.
Yeah, well, if it's kind of up in the air, it's kind of ambiguous definition. Although I personally would consider Easter eggs, like finding an Easter egg, not to be something organic because it's put there. Like you did have to do, you probably had to do a series of things to get to it, but it's not necessarily something truly unique to you.
But if you can figure out if it's an Easter egg put there by the developer and that wasn't designed to be in there in the first place, that's the kind of thing you're talking about.
I'd say more as a debate on whether a robot can be a person kind of thing, whether you can get a response from the game that is spontaneous or whether the game will always be programmed.
Yeah, it is.
If that's,
Yeah, it is very ambiguous like that. It's hard to tell.
The moments, like, let's say in GTA,
Yeah.
there's a train that goes around the map and it just goes around. All it does is go around and around and around. But a moment that's not there by design, you trying to jump over the train tracks and you just didn't happen to notice the train was coming. And
You tell me that could be an organic moment. At what? Because again, the question is, at what point does it become organic, and at what point does it become scripted? Because, like you said, the only thing that was done there was the train is going round and round. You jumping over it It was something that spontaneously happened.
And it wasn't designed for you to come while you were jumping over, it just
Yeah.
happened.
You could argue that could be organic, or you could argue that's sort of pseudo-designed.
So what do you say, they're more particular to sandbox games?
It is, the organic moments do tend to happen much more frequently in sandbox games. That's kind of the element of freedom that these things provide, means that you can have all sorts of ones. Although you can have them in other interesting ways. If I go back to the first slide, you can see here on this thing, that's actually, I used a tool with it that's given within Unreal Tournament to make it so that the only weapon the AI could use was a teleporter gun that can't hurt anyone. And I had this funny moment where just the entire match, the AI just stared at each other. Essentially playing finger gun wars.
Oh, and where do you get the title organic moment from?
It's
Did you come up with that term?
I did kind of come up with it. It's like, because basing it off stuff like organic storytelling, which is players coming up with their own stories based on events that have happened in games. Like, you could argue that the whole Firebrander instance I talked about, that was an organic story for me. And you've got emergent gameplay as well, which is just kind of players fiddling around with the tool system and discovering new things. For example, rocket jumping in Quake would be an example of that.
I'm just trying to think of key terms that would help you when you're, say, researching this here on the internet.
Yeah.
Which type of organic terms could you use to hit a good paper or two on it? You know?
You probably get results if you search for unscripted.
Yeah.
Unscripted, yeah, unexpected on it.
Isn't that emergent gameplay? What you're looking for?
Emergent.
Emergent gameplay? That's kind of like a gameplay that wasn't necessarily designed in the game, kind of happened because of player action.
So can you say that again? I can't quite hear
Gameplay
you.
that kind of like comes out as part of like player interaction as opposed to being designed.
Yeah, you could argue that's kind of an organic moment, that organic moments can spring from that.
And what exactly is the role of using Bartle's taxonomy?
Well, it's like all these organic moments and kind of like these organic stories that spring up and emerging gameplay, they're all, players will remember these things. They stick in their minds, which would suggest that they really like them, they really enjoyed them. So I kind of want to analyse why they might enjoy these.
Okay, okay. Yeah,
Do
good.
you think that most of the organic moments would come from players interacting with each other, say online? Just
Yeah, I think that would be a huge point. You can see in the bottom right, that was actually me and my brother interacting. He invented drums and suddenly there was a shrine to rock.
Yeah, would you also count any sort of glitches or stuff in that into it? It's like, I know, like playing Skyrim stuff, when a person dies and their skeleton falls out and it's flying to the sky.
As somebody said earlier, yeah, it is kind of debatable how, do you count glitches as kind of something that just happens? It's debatable. Again, you could also say the same thing about people trying to explore, finding an exploit in the game and using it to do something unusual. Like my brother once found that if you crouch next to the landing gear of a helicopter in GTA, you can fly the helicopter and then fire rockets hanging off the side of the helicopter. So you could argue that's an organic moment, or that was just somebody exploiting a glitch, and the same could be applied to both. Like, I saw another question over here.
seems like that a lot of the organic moments come from solely role playing. Like, would it not just be like the title would be something like role playing, like how role playing?
Could be argued, but there's other things as well, because like, again, this kind of moment I was talking about with the kind of just teleporter gun thing, that's not really role play.
But like if
It's
you
just me fiddling
if you
around
look
with
at like that, like fiction or whatever you want to call it, that it's not really a game. It's just you observing or spectating.
Could argue that.
Is it actually a game even if you're just spectating it?
Would you call that teleporter example organic though, because you designed it?
Well, the thing is, it's like it could, like it was just taking a tool set within the game to just limit AI weaponry and just limiting it to something unusual that I didn't realise you would normally be able to limit to, and then seeing the results. So it was just something that happened, as opposed
You
to.
didn't know that was going to happen.
I didn't know that was going to happen.
So you've got to find the definition, the limits of their design, and then project what this event that happened outside of their design. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tough.
More questions?
Would you consider in Mass Effect 2, you play the game and if characters die, they're not in Mass Effect 3, it's obviously scripted by developers, but it's going to be different for nearly every player? Because some of them die and they're in the next one, and if they don't die, they're different missions.
Again, it goes back to the hand utility of how far is that? How far do you get from designed and organic? Personally, I would consider that too close to being designed to be organic, but it's very much kind of an opinionated kind of thing.
In the new Fallout, you can.
Please don't spoil anything.
No, it's not. It's just if the house is locked, but you can see a piece of furniture and you sit on that furniture, you get into the house through the window. So this might be something that's organic because it's not. I doubt it's ever.
Again, that goes back to like kind of the players exploiting. You could make an argument that's organic, or you could argue that it's just people breaking the rules. And you could argue that those two aren't necessarily mutually exclusive.
Yeah.
There was one particular, it's no spoiler, there was one particular glitch in Fallout 4 that we discovered over the weekend, and I don't think it was a glitch, I think it was by design. It just reminded me of it there, you know. I won't spoil it for you, but I think it was by design, you know. It adds to the game.
Yeah, there are moments in games where glitches will not get patched just because they add to it.
I think so. Cool. Other comments? Let him go.